All right, we're almost there with making this look good. Couple of things. This leftover, we need to put a calculation in here. And I want some space between this section and this section. Again, we're going to add a row above so we have some space. I'm going to move over to the row number. I am going to right click. I'm going to get our right click menu and I want to add a row above. There we go, and have some space. Now this looks good. This looks logical. If I go to print this and I show it to somebody else, it makes sense. In the leftover, in the cell next to leftover, we need to put a formula in here that calculates what would be left over. So again, if we were writing this on paper, what would we write? We would write total income minus total expense. In Excel, we're doing the same thing. We're going to type in a formula that is total income minus total expense. We have a formula in here from before, but now that we've moved all these cells around, there's nothing in B1 and there's nothing in B6. So we need to tell it some new numbers. My advice, as always, start over. So I'm going to clear out what's in this cell. Hit delete. It's gone. Done. And let's start a formula. We click in the cell where we want the formula to appear, where we want the results to appear, the number to appear. Start formulas with equal sign. Again, Sheets is trying to make some suggestions. It's trying to be helpful. You ever have a friend who is trying to be helpful, but they're doing the most, they're doing too much? Sometimes that is Sheets. Sometimes it's not. But if it makes a suggestion and you don't know what it is or why it's doing it, ignore it. You're fine. You got this. We're not trying to sum or add up everything. We're trying to find income minus expenses. So I'm ignoring this suggestion. I'm going to click, stay focused. The first thing what we want to do is click the first cell or click the first number we want to work with, which is total income. We're just going to go ahead and click on that. And everything that Sheets was suggesting has now gone away. Thank you. This is the first number we want to work with. We're going to take this number and what do we want to do? We want to subtract this number. So then we need to put in a subtraction sign, the minus sign, and that's your dash key. What do we do next? We want to click on the next number we want to work with. That is total expense. We're subtracting that. So we'll click on that number. And it puts the cell with that number in it in the formula. We're done. We're only doing two numbers, one number minus another number. When you're done, put a period on that sentence, hit your enter key. And now we have a proper number for left over. It is the expenses minus total income. And you can eyeball it and see that these formulas look right. So when you know the formulas look right, when you put in some dummy numbers, then you can go back and add whatever other numbers you want. Let's say utilities is actually, I don't know, 1111. And let's say the groceries are actually 430. And our entertainment this month is 112 because we're trying to cut back. And our our transportation is $400 this month. We've got, it recalculates. Every time we put in a new number, it recalculates. We have a total expense now of $5,553, which puts us in the negative for our budget. That's not good. But what is good is that you can now see it clearly. I did a lot more with my Etsy account this month because I can see that I'm running a deficit and I made $2,260. Now I have $700 left over. The last thing we're going to do is just make this look a little better, a little prettier. Let's format this a little bit. Let's change the look a little bit to make it make even more sense. That's what formatting does. Just helps to make the look better So when you're showing somebody else or when you're looking at it later, you've added some visual logic to it. The first thing we're going to do is make these look like dollar amounts. Now, what we're not going to do is use the $ key. No, 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 no. We don't do that. What we do is use our formatting buttons. So I am on the cell that I want to change. You have to select what you're going to do first. So I've selected 4,000. I want to change that to look like a dollar amount. I'm going to add the $. I'm going to click this button, the $ button, which it will format it as currency. Look at that. It not only formatted 4,000 with a $, it changed the look of the total income and added a $. Why? Because this cell is in this formula. See that formula? It's using this cell. And it changed the look of this because this cell is in this formula. Again, it's that sheets thing, doing more than what you asked for. Hey, it's a blessing, it's a curse. This time it works out. It's fine. It didn't change this one though. So let's change how this Etsy dollar amount looks. I'm going to click on the cell first. You have to click what you want to change first. Click the $ button, currency button, and now these all look like currency. I don't want the cents. I want it rounded out to whole dollars. There's a button here to decrease decimal places. See, I have the cell selected, so I'm going to click that decrease decimal place. It takes away a decimal place. I'm going to click it again. It took away 2 decimal places. So now I just have round numbers for my dollars. And notice it changed the cell that has a formula that references this cell. It also changed the leftover number. It took away all of the cents, the decimal places, because we changed this one. They're all kind of linked together. It didn't change this dollar amount the way it looks. So now I have to go and do it manually to this number. I'm going to go to the button and click it twice. Now that looks nice. I want all of these to look like dollar amounts too. So instead of doing them one at a time, I'm going to do them all together. How? I'm going to select. I'm going to select or click on the first cell that I want to change. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to click and hold. Hold that mouse button down. Don't let go. And I'm going to move my mouse down until I have selected all of the cells that I want to change at one time. Then I will let go of the mouse button. They are all selected, highlighted in blue. So the next thing that I do is going to happen to all of these cells. And the next thing I'm going to do is click the currency button, formatting button. And now all of these numbers at one time have been changed to look like currency. A $ has been added. I also don't want the decimal places here. So I'll go back to the decimal button, decrease decimal places, and click that 1 time, 2 times. And I've changed them all at the same time. Now that looks nice. Let me go back and show you. With currency, it added a $ in front of the number. That's just for the look. It doesn't change the number. If we look in the formula bar, there's no $ added there. Only the number that we added, 4,000. Same thing here. There's no $ and no comma. Just the number that we added. If we click in this cell, there's no number at all. Remember, we put a formula. When you click on a cell, The formula bar shows you exactly the data that's in the cell. When we're looking at the spreadsheet, we can format it and make changes, and this is the way that it looks when we look at it or when we print it or if we shared it on a website. The reason why you want to use formatting as much as possible and not actually typing in numbers or typing in things like dollar signs or commas is because if you don't do it right, your formulas won't work. For instance, if let's say I'm typing in, I'm going to take out the 4,000, and I'm typing in 4,000 and I want to put in a comma myself. I'll type 4 and that symbol and 4,000 and hit enter. All right, everything is whack now. 4,000, because I didn't use a comma, I used a semicolon. Some people think or feel like it works the same. Doesn't at all. So this is not a number anymore. Since this is not a number, Sheets doesn't know what to do with it. Formulas only use numbers. Formulas don't use punctuation. So when you put punctuation in a cell, Sheet says, I can't add semicolons. I can't add question marks. I can't add letters. It has to be numbers only. I'm going to go back and delete it and type in 4,000. And I'm going to let the formatting buttons add the things that I want to the numbers to make it look better, look clearer, make more sense. But what's in the cell should only be numbers. So if you have calculations, formulas, the formulas will work right. Another thing to point out is if something happens to your formulas where the numbers it's trying to add don't work, you're going to get a weird hashtag and a error message like this. You'll look at this and say, I don't know what that is. Just know if you get a hashtag and a word, a number someplace is not a number. It's messed up. And go back and look at your numbers. I'm going to go back to this number and fix it. That is not a number because it has a semicolon in it. I'm going to make it just the number 4,000 and hit enter. Now it looks better. I think I want income and expense to stand out more. Here I'm going to change the size of my screen. To make those stand out more, I'm going to make them bold. I'm going to click on the cell I want to change, and here's the button for bold. I'm going to click on the cell I want to change and click the button for bold. And I think the same for leftover. I'm going to click on that cell and click the button for bold. You know what else I want to do? I want everything to be bigger, the numbers and letters to be bigger when I print it. So I'm going to select everything. Start from the top. Take your mouse, click and hold, drag it over all the letters, drag it down over all the letters, and then drag it to the right over all the numbers. Now I've got everything selected. I'm going to change the font size. Here's a font size over here. There's a minus sign to make it smaller or plus sign to make it larger. I'm going to click the plus sign 3 times. I like it large. My eyes are not what they used to be. All right, I'm going to click now in a cell, any other cell, a blank cell, because I want this to stop being selected. I don't want to make any changes by accident. But now we need to change the columns. I've made the fonts larger, nicer to read, but some of these labels have gotten cut off. Why? Because the column is not wide enough. So let's make it wider. To make a column wider, move your mouse onto the line between the columns. When you do that, it's going to change into a different symbol. Right now, I've got a pointer, a white pointer, looks like an arrow. When I get it in the right spot between the columns, on the line between the columns, it's going to change into a column cursor. Once I have that cursor, the width cursor, I'm going to click and hold my mouse button, and I'm going to drag it, not up or down. Don't drag it up or down. Drag it left or right. I can make it thinner, but I'm not. I'm going to make it wider. And then let go when it's at the space that you like. Now we have a wider column and we can see all of the labels. You can change this as much as you want. Let's do one more thing. I'm going to change the color. Income, I want it green. Actually here, no, let's change the color here. I'm going to change the color of the label and the total income. So I'm going to click one cell and drag my mouse across to the other cell. Let's do that again. I'm going to select the cell by clicking on it and holding down the mouse button. Now I'm going to drag my mouse across to the next cell next to it, let go. 2 cells are selected, so I'm going to change 2 things at a time. And over here on the toolbar, I've got a text color button. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to select a different color by clicking on that. Total income is green. Total expenses, I'm going to make that red. I'm going to click and hold my mouse on the label total expense and drag it across to the total number. Let go. Those 2 cells are selected. I'm going to go back to text color, add red. All right, we've made some changes that'll make this look nice if we print it. Let's see what it'll look like if we print. To print, you've got your printer button here, or you can click File on the menu and select Print on the bottom. And this is what it will look like when we print. I want to change the sheet. I don't like it. It's landscape. That means it's wide across the top. If I change the orientation here, click Portrait. Now, that looks like a normal piece of paper. And if I clicked Print, or if I clicked Next, it would send it to the printer, and I have a budget that is accurate, and I can show other people, and it makes sense.